Is that you, Erin?
Yes, hi.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well,
Good.
thanks.
Good. We're going to get started here in about 5 seconds, okay?
Perfect.
Okay, great. All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Randy Reed with Marketplace Home Mortgage. Welcome to my Role Model Monday interview, where I take the top performing agents in the Denver metro area and have a conversation on what they do to be successful in today's market, what their philosophies are, and what makes them a high producing agent. Today, I have a very special guest, Erin Brumleve. Welcome, Erin.
Hi, Randy.
How are you?
I'm well, thank
Good,
you.
good. Erin is with Keller Williams Downtown Realty, and Erin has been in the business, for now 3 years, Erin? Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
I was licensed in July 2014.
Very nice. And Erin is one of the top producing agents in the downtown office, and in a very short period of time, she's been able to accelerate her closed business. And I wanted to at least take the opportunity to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, Erin, and sharing your thoughts and ideas on what you think you've done to make yourself a high-producing agent. Can you tell everyone, let's start off, what did you close in your first year?
I closed just under $6 million.
Okay, that's really good out of the gates. What about in your second year?
Just about $7 million.
Okay. All right. So, hey, an improvement is better than a loss. So that's really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Now, what impressed me the most about yourself, Erin, is your year-to-date production. Can you tell everyone where you are? First of all, why don't you tell us what your initial goal was this year and where you are right now?
Sure. My initial goal this year was $13.2 million, and right now we are about $16 million. We've closed about $16 million, and we have close to $20 million closed and pending.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that's an incredible, going from 13 up to 16, almost hitting 20 million by the end of the year. That is a huge growth. What do you attribute to that type of growth, when everybody's been kind of having a rough year, but in your opinion, what have you done to produce that?
Well, I think that one thing that our team does really well is I think we have some systems in place that help us keep in contact with our database. So hunting our database on regular intervals, I think, is helpful. And then also, I think we do a really nice job with our geographic farming. So those two things, I think, and open houses, those two or three things, I think, have been what has really catapulted our business this year.
Okay, so you mentioned database. I'm a big advocate of doing database mining and tapping into your past relationships. Can you walk through us? Do you touch them every single day? Give us an example of what you do on a day-to-day basis to market yourself.
Sure. So we interact with our database basically each day of the week. We have a different section that we're talking to. So, for example, on Mondays, we follow up with open house leads over the weekend, and we're also contacting for sell by owners that day.
Okay.
And then on Tuesdays, we contact our current clients and also our buyers or sellers that are higher up in the pipeline, so more ready to make a move. And then Wednesdays, we do old leads and cold leads. Thursdays, we do sphere. And Fridays, we do circle prospecting.
So, okay, so you're hitting FSBOs. You're doing farming. You're doing the circle around where you're touching your old clients from a year ago, 2 years ago, what have you, right? Is this
Right.
actual cold calls that you're doing? Are you doing social media? Are you doing email drips? What are you doing?
So we start with calls, but then I think the follow-up is just as important. So I like to do a call and then an email, and sometimes we'll even do a text if it's a lead that we're trying to nurture and we haven't heard from. We do a newsletter once a month that goes out to basically everybody in our database. We do social media things. Instagram, I think we're using more and more, and people are seeming to connect with us that way.
Nice.
So I think a combination of those things.
Okay, very good. Now, typically on a month-to-month basis, what are you spending as far as marketing dollars are concerned? Are you pumping a lot of money into the social media and online leads? What are you doing there?
We don't really, so we have an auto dialer. We use Vulcan 7 to aggregate for sell-by-owner data. But other than that, we don't pay for leads. When we have an open house, we'll spend maybe $3 on Facebook to sponsor and promote that post. But we don't, and then when we have a listing, we'll spend between $150 to $300 on the print marketing material. But we don't spend a ton of money marketing. It's more boots on the ground.
And I love the boots on the ground. Music to my ears, by the way. I love the fact that, you're not really spending a lot of money, like you say, online. And, it's really about touching your data, touching those clients, personalizing your message to them. It sounds like that you do consistently on a day-to-day basis, which is awesome. Can you kind of, besides doing your typical day of doing your prospecting, can you walk us through a typical day in Erin's life? What time do you get up in the morning, and do you do a lot of time management? Can you walk us through a typical day?
Sure. I'll walk you through my most productive days.
Excellent. That's what I want to hear.
Okay. So typically when I'm at my most productive, I'll meet some friends in the morning at about 5:30, 5:45 to run, and then we'll run for about an hour, and then I'll head to the gym and get to work about 9, and that really sets the tone for my day. So 9 to 11 is typically lead generation time, and then 11 to noon is follow-up. Lunch, I usually run downstairs to Brooklyn, and then the afternoon is for appointments.
What time do you quit your day? What time do you stop working?
I usually quit between 6 to 7, so I like to try to be home by 7. A couple days a week, so Thursdays I have reserved in the afternoon. If we're not door knocking, then I like to try to schedule a happy hour with a group of people from my sphere. And then Fridays I like to try to take someone from my sphere out to lunch. So there's a couple of in-person times that will go in there as well. So if I don't have an appointment, a buyer's consultation or a listing consultation, then I'll try to schedule some afternoon activities with past clients or sphere. I think face-to-face as much as possible is really helpful.
Very good. So that goes right down to your boots-on-the-ground philosophy. Can you give us any other philosophies that you would say are, a winning attitude or what's contributed to your success besides your boots on the ground?
So I mentioned, the other day I was talking about John Maxwell's book, The 12 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership Success, and so then I started to re-listen to that book, and then something that struck me is the law of prioritizing. So I think, typically in real estate it's herding cats. So really thinking about which activities are going to are the most important, and the 80-20 rule. So really trying to prioritize that 20% at the beginning of the day, and then also in that book in particular, what I think has struck me is that if you're a leader of your team, it's your job to make sacrifices, and that your expectation should be that, at least initially at the stage that our team is at, my job is to make sacrifices and to work harder than anybody else, because I'm the leader of the team.
So
the leader of the pack.
There you go, right there. I love that, whoever chimed in. Thank you. So, Erin, you do lead by example, and taking Maxwell's philosophies, you've kind of integrated that into your daily life, it sounds like. I'm a big advocate of, taking a bad habit and exchanging it for a good habit. Can you tell us anything that you've done recently where you've done that sort of thing, where you've known that you needed to improve and you took it by the horns and went with it?
So I think one thing that I'm thinking about currently is just improving. It's not a habit, but it's a skill. So improving my negotiation skills. So I'm friends with a lot of attorneys, so I'm trying to lean on them to help me utilize some of the techniques that they use when they're negotiating win-win solutions for the parties that they represent. So I'm trying to. That's a skill that I'm consciously working on. And then habit-wise, I think that exercise habit is, I hate to like hit it, like pound on it, but it's pretty important. So if I don't start my day that way, it's typically a less productive day.
I'm a big advocate of getting up early in the morning and going for a walk or doing something physical. I do believe that that's a great way to start your day, and thank you for mentioning that. Can you keep mentioning your team. Can you tell me how many people do you have on your team, and what are their responsibilities?
Sure. So we have a small team. I think the most important hire that we made was our Director of Operations, Allie, and she's been with us for about over a year. And I think that was one of the big things that allowed us to, basically triple our production in 1 year. So Allie does a lot of the detail stuff that I just don't have the mind for. I'm more of a big picture thinker. So Allie handles our transaction coordination. She handles our scheduling with appraisals and inspections. She every Monday will send out an email update to our clients and then remind them that on Tuesday I will call them to check in. So that's been really huge as far as taking those little things off of my plate so I can go on more appointments. And then recently we hired a buyer's agent, and his name is Nick, and he's just been phenomenal as far as he's just a go-getter, which is exactly what we wanted in a buyer's agent. And both of those folks, Allie and Nick, are talented, and they push me. So sometimes I dig my heels in a little bit because I don't want to be pushed, and then I have to remember that that's why I hired them, to make me better. So it's a good team.
Good. So it sounds like you just surround yourself with good people, hardworking, and being the quarterback, if you will, by leading by example and just really allocating those tasks that are non-producing dollars. Would you say that that's, you're giving them those tasks where they're non-producing hours for you?
Yeah, I think for Allie, she does a lot of non-dollar producing activities, so she's salaried, and then Nick and I are both 100% commission. So definitely Allie is handling a lot of the minutia, our compliance, our green sheets that I've never done a green sheet. So Allie does those for us.
Very good. So for those that aren't familiar with the green sheet, that's a Keller Williams thing. That's what your commission breakdown, and what is exactly that?
Mm-hmm. So it's that's how Keller Williams makes sure that the agents get paid at the closing table. Okay. So it's basically a form that we complete for another form, which is called a disbursement authorization, which gets sent to the title company, and that's how we get paid at the closing table.
So in other words, that's still paperwork and you're allocating that to another person so that you can go out and focus, like you said, to go out and meet face to face with people and really kind of generate that personal touch to your database, et cetera. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Excellent. Okay, so now you also you said something about that kind of perked my ears up a little bit, and that was working on skill sets. You mentioned negotiation. To me, a lot of agents need to work on that, as well as how to give a good presentation for a listing appointment, as well as really being in position and knowledgeable to be able to direct the buyers. Can you give us an idea of what you do to maintain the consistency of the ups and downs in this industry? To me, it's a lot about developing those skills, but can you elaborate a little bit about what you do to avoid that real estate roller coaster ride that I like to describe it as?
Yes. So I think that lead generating consistently, that's the most important. And it's helpful when you have a team because they can help you do that. Allie's role is also as a client care manager. So, like, for example, we're inviting people to our holiday party, and I will call them. And then if I miss them, Allie's going to do a follow-up call just to make sure that someone from our team connects with them. So is that kind of what so basically, I think that, having lead generation, just doing that consistently, at least for an hour to 2 hours a day, that's really going to help with the roller coaster as far as inconsistencies in the pipeline.
All right, so just a minimum of 2 hours a day in prospecting, true prospecting, trying to reach out to a new listing or a new buyer, correct?
Correct.
And that's one of your number one activities that you do to avoid the roller coaster ride.
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Are there any other ideas that you can think of for, a new agent or someone who has, less than 3 years of experience like you have? Can you give them any tidbits that would encourage them to kind of follow your lead, if you will?
Sure. So on our team, we have standards for our buyer's agent that they have to hold a minimum of 6 open houses a month. So if you think about each open house is 2 hours. So if they're doing one 4-hour open house a weekend, you can basically count that as 2. And then so basically, my number one advice would be to do an open house every other weekend, if not every weekend, because that's going to be a way to get new leads. And that's the hardest thing for a new agent is to have people to call. Mm-hmm. So I think open houses are a less expensive way to do that as opposed to paying for leads.
Okay. So open houses, I heard you say that you work the FSBO market. Do you do any? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you do any expired listings? Do you work that segment at all?
We have done 2 expireds this year. So one was a referral, okay. but we are going to close on that one at the end of this month. Thanks. And then the other one we found through Vulcan 7, so through the auto dialer. And I remember that one thing that I did that the sellers really told me helped me stand out was I was trying to connect with them, and then I drove by the property, and it was on a Saturday morning, so I had just gone for a run, so I wasn't even in my professional realtor clothes. I was in my running clothes, but I took a video in front of the house, and I just talked with them about how I thought it was a great house and a great location, and I live nearby, and I can't even believe that it didn't sell the first time. And then I sent that little 2-minute video to them. And at the closing table, they told me that was something that really caught their attention. So I guess, using video, I think, is a way to personalize your connection with those cold leads, like for sale by owners and expireds.
So you talk about putting yourself out there. I mean, that's what I call that. You go for a run. I could just envision you in your sweats and tennis shoes and holding your phone in front of you, walking through the neighborhood. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it, Erin. That's one thing that I think a lot of agents do miss out on, and that is, really kind of getting out there and putting themselves at risk, if you will, and not getting all bogged down to having to be 100%, dressed up or perfect in every aspect, because at the end of the day, people want to connect with other people and being genuine. It sounds like you're very authentic. And to me, that has to be a contributing factor too to your success is that being genuine. I'm just giving you a compliment on that one because
Thank you.
it just sounds like that is probably one of your biggest attributes. So, all right. So question for you. Our industry can be very, very taxing on our time, family, and friends. How do you balance your work versus your personal life? What do you do?
Sure. So on Saturdays, I set the expectation with clients up front that I don't work before noon. So that time is reserved for myself and my family. And then I typically will tell clients that if it's after 7 p.m., I'm not generally near my phone the way I am during the day. So just trying to manage their expectations that if they send me a text message at, 8 o'clock in the evening, it's likely that I might not get back to them until the next day. So I think the most important thing in terms of protecting your time is really being clear with people about the expectations around communication. And an easy way to do that is just asking them, well, how do you like to be communicated with, and what time does your family eat dinner, and what time do you go to bed? Oh, you guys eat dinner at 6 or 7, and then, you go to bed by 9 or 10? Hey, me too. So that helps them see that, I'm a regular person
Okay.
that needs to eat dinner and sleep.
So if you get a phone call, let's just say, it's 5 o'clock in the evening. How quickly are you responding to that phone call, and do you typically pick up your phone when that call comes in?
I think that's a good question, and I think that it makes me think of the law of priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know any good agent that doesn't screen their calls. So if it's a client that I know that we're closing soon or we have a deadline, of course I'm going to pick up my phone and try to get back to them as promptly as possible, because that's a part of our customer service. If it's a less urgent matter, I might not get back to it right away. But unless I'm in the middle of something, I usually try to get back to people as soon as possible.
Are you doing any texting? Well, you said Instagram is one of the ways you communicate. What about texting?
I do text. I think that when I'm talking with a buyer or a seller around negotiation specifics or specifics related to the paperwork, for example, inclusions or exclusions or presenting offers, that it's always best to have that take place via phone or in person. But typically it's via phone. And then I like to use our contract writing software, CTME, to send messages, to send emails, because then it's all in one place. You don't lose it.
Right. Okay. Very good. Okay. So can you... Now let's start talking about some things that you would encourage, those newer agents. To me, at this point, Erin, you've been around the block, and you are accelerating, by 20, 30% a year at least, it sounds like. So can you tell anybody, people on the call here, that would encourage them to go out and grow their business? Give me 1 or 2 bullet points on that.
Sure. So I think I mean, it sounds really simple, but just lead generating consistently and time blocking that every day sounds it sounds so simple, and it sounds like it's not a big secret. But I think the ability to do that consistently is what sets agents apart. I also think caring in customer service. So really wanting, like really understanding that when your clients buy or sell a home, they're likely their most important investment. So really, it's understanding the emotional element that comes across with that for clients and responding appropriately. So if the client is a little extra nervous or a little bit on edge, understanding that they're in a big transition in their lives. So helping them just making accommodations for them with that. And then I think the third thing, be around people who hustle, because that's going to inspire you to hustle. So I do a lot better when I go into the office and I'm around that activity. I'm competitive. So if I have someone that I'm working against, it'll make me work harder.
Competition is always a good thing. It always pushes us to a whole different level. Would you agree?
I 100% agree.
Yep. And not only am I, doing my Role Model Monday call with you because I do feel that you're a good role model, it sounds to me like you do have some role models yourself. Can you give us one or two people that have, people that you've looked up to or that you follow today?
Sure. So the person there's two people that inspired me to get into real estate, and one is my cousin Lisa, and she's in St. Louis in commercial. If anyone ever wants to go, talk to her. And then the other one was our realtor from about 4 years ago, and her name is Stacy Neer. She's with Kentwood, and we weren't expired, and Stacy was referred to us after our listing had expired, 6 months with no offers and 100 showings. And what I like about Stacy is that she understood how important it was for us to sell our home, and she was really candid with us about what we needed to do if we wanted to reach our goals. So I feel like it's important to tell our clients, like, if they have a goal, so if they want to sell their house for $600,000 and it's a $500,000 home in terms of its condition, that it's our job to tell them that. And that's what Stacy did for us. She set clear expectations and she followed through on her promises and was really positive. So she's someone that I still look up to today and follow her today. And then in our own office, Carol Duncan, I think she's built a successful, consistent business, and, she generates $30 million in production off of a sphere of less than 1,000 people. So the way that she's interacting with her database is really systematic and thoughtful and consistent. So those are the folks that I would say I look up to.
Outstanding. So always just high producers, go-getters, and people that are really leading the path for today's real estate environment. I think that's awesome that you do as well look up to other role models yourself. We're about at the end of the time here, Erin. Can you, this is the month of being thankful and gracious and showing gratitude for others, being Thanksgiving week here. Are you doing anything special for Thanksgiving as far as your clients are concerned?
I am not, and I should be. We are planning our holiday party, which is December 9th, and so I think that that's our way of showing our clients gratitude. But I'm going to St. Louis to be with my family.
Okay.
And that's my way I'm saying thank you to myself, to go and spend a couple days with my family.
Yeah. You know what? You do have to recharge your batteries from time to time, especially in this business. And I'm going to just throw out a suggestion for you, if I may. I've been a mortgage originator for 27 years, and one of the things that works really, really good for me is to send out a Thanksgiving card. Not too many people do that, and everybody gets Christmas cards. And I, found this out, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. You send out a Thanksgiving card, next thing you know, you get people calling you saying, thank you for remembering me, or thank you for thinking of me on Thanksgiving. Nobody's ever done that before. And that's just a simple thing. There's services out there that you can just download your database and, for a buck 20-ish or so, you can send out a nice postcard to them, or a greeting card. I like the greeting card thing, but the other thing that I also do during this time of the year is not only will I do Thanksgiving and Christmas cards, but I'll also do a New Year's card. That is something that nobody does, just welcoming to the new year and wishing them the very best and to think of you, being top of mind in the next coming year, in case they have any needs. So, Erin, I do appreciate your time. I'll leave you with have a happy Thanksgiving yourself. Enjoy your family and your time off. And again, do appreciate you joining us today. If anybody has any questions for you, Erin, can they reach out? Can they, pick your brain on anything?
Oh, of course. Yep. I'm happy. People can give me a call or text on my cell phone, and certainly they can email me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that they have one-on-one.
What's your email and phone number?
Sure. My cell phone is 303-681-7913, and my email is my initials, so it's my last name, Brumleve, at kw.com.
Thank you for being so generous with that and your willingness to help others, Erin. To me, it's going to go a long, long way. And, just enjoy your week. Thank you again. And everyone listening, please join me next week at the same time for my Role Model Monday call. Everybody make it a successful week, and thank you for joining. Randy Reed, 303-809-5626. Bye-bye.